Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Aries energy, and we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because not everybody harnesses their Aries energy the same. Life's about learning lessons. Some people still harness their Aries energy, maybe depending on their age, maybe not. Aries energy is about the self, and anyone in their Aries energy, whether they're an Aries sun sign or not, can be more inspired by themselves. So they could be kind of more immature, prideful, or egotistical, or self-centered. And life's about learning lessons, and some people have learned that people don't want to hang out with them if they're more like that. And that hopefully they grow up and temper their ego. And high vibrational people would be people who've learned to work together with people cooperatively, more inspired by love, and to realize that love is what makes it all worthwhile. And they're making good decisions in their life. And when their decisions affect other people, they take those people into consideration because they love those people. And they treat people the way they like to be treated in a more just and fair manner. And, then there's people all somewhere in the spectrum between being consumed by themselves and being loving. We all grow up in the world. We can all be more inspired by the world for like the first 30, 40 years of our life. All these things we want to make our life about or build as a foundation or indulge in. And some people kind of stay in that phase of life longer than some other people. So anyway, that's basically what we're going to do. Since we all tap it, this might be what's going on in Aries energy right now. Maybe people who are Aries sun signs are particularly struggling with dealing with these issues, or people have significant Aries placements, but in turn, it could affect all of us in our Aries energy because we all tap into Aries energy. So whether you're an Aries sun sign or working with an Aries sun sign, you are working with other people in the world who just can be more about themselves versus being more inspired to work cooperatively from love. So just listen to your intuition about where you might be in the story, how you harness your own Aries energy, how other people harness theirs. You could harness high vibe Aries and you're not an Aries sun sign. It's kind of like people who reject that within themselves. That energy is available in the world for people to embody and harness, and other people do. And people who that kind of could have been their way of living life, they decided to harness more shadowy Aries energy. So, all of these traits and characteristics and ways of being and feeling, they're available for everyone. We have the free will to choose which traits, characteristics, attitudes, beliefs, feelings, thoughts that we embrace, and then those ways of being kind of live through us. It's just kind of interesting. I view this card down here as the overarching reason for the reading, which is Three of Wands, which is Aries energy. Okay, what could be going on in Aries energy right now? Shadowy Aries energy has a dream. High vibe Aries energy has a dream. We live in a world of duality. Our shadow nature wants to be in the driver's seat of our life, wants other people to align with shadowy Aries energy. People who are in shadowy Aries energy want other people to align with them. High vibe Aries energy has a dream. High vibe Aries energy wants to be in the driver's seat of our life. Other people in high vibe Aries energy want other people to be in high vibe Aries energy. Whatever energy we're in, we kind of want other people to be in it because we like to hang out with people who are kind of on the same page as ourselves, and we like to hang out with people who are like ourselves. So, we start out with two cards not showing themselves. And at the center of the reading is a card not showing itself. We deal with all these different people in the world, and people can present themselves in the world whatever way they want. I'm just, I'm fair, I'm stable, I'm grounded, I'm emotionally mature, I'm loving, I'm not selfish, I'm not greedy, I'm not materialistic, I'm not bossy and controlling, but they could be. You know, who really knows? We have to listen to our intuition. And I do view high vibe fire sign energy as being inspired to, because you've learned these lessons in life, to listen to your intuition to guide you. We all could have been more inspired by ourselves, by these things that we wanted to invest in, that we thought would make us look like a shining star, or being more about ourself or the ego or the image or whatever. But hopefully over time, we've learned lessons in life, which is the Eight of Pentacles, putting in work and effort to see through the illusion of ourself, of our ego, of the world, to, in the Two of Pentacles, get more balance within ourselves. Life's not all about us. Life isn't all about these things of the world. You know, it's about a balance. We are creative, inspired people. The Seven of Cups can be, we're either caught more up in the illusion of the superficial and the shallow, or we want to be in more deep, meaningful relationships. And if we want to, if we are more motivated and inspired to grow and heal and mature ourselves and learn these lessons in life, to get out of being more about ourselves and being manipulated by the world and manipulated by other people, hopefully we learn to love ourselves, to quit looking to the world to validate our worth and value, quit looking to other people to love us. We should love ourselves. And then when we love ourselves, we are more ready to be in a deep, meaningful relationships, which is what the Seven of Cups, Scorpio energy can talk about. And when we have done this work within ourselves to heal and grow and mature ourselves, and we've kind of learned these lessons from different people we've been in relationship with, we've been more about ourselves, we've been more caught up in the world, we've been in more codependent energy, looking to people to love us because we didn't maybe love and believe in ourselves, and we hadn't really, trying to learn these lessons. How do I balance this? I have my worldly nature and my ego nature and these things of the world I want, but I also have my hopeful, believing, loving nature. How do I balance this? It's confusing. Scorpio energy does talk about that we are these emotionally complex human beings, and we have this dualistic nature, and we want these things, and we kind of have to make these choices in our life about, I might want this, but maybe it's not so much about love. Do I want those things enough that I'm willing to give up love? I can love people, but they can be very unstable, and ungrounded. Am I willing to give up, a more balanced relationship because I love someone? And it's all about getting balance within ourselves. And we go through this life experience, and eventually some of the things that we could have taken action towards, it could have been in tarot, they kind of refer to that as being in your south node. For the first 30, 40 years of our life, it is about learning all these lessons and learning more about ourselves and growing up ourselves and healing from past pain and heartbreak and self-limiting beliefs, and healing from people in our life who maybe were more shadowy, and it's trying to work through the illusion and the confusion. And then we might find ourselves, and I do kind of think it's our fire sign nature that's kind of the last one to kind of get on board to living life differently, because we are so attached to ourself and what we want and these things of the world, that in our fire sign energy is really what we focus on for a lot of a time of our life. And we want to be in relationships, and we want people to love us, and we want to have people to love. And hopefully we eventually work through all the confusion of it, and hopefully we get more balanced within ourselves, so we're not tipped out of balance one way or the other, kind of indulging poor behavior in ourselves and poor behavior in others, because that kind of causes chaos and upset in our life. And we want balance, and we want justice and fairness. And if we've learned some lessons in life, we want to work with some other people who've learned some of those same lessons in life. And we can get to a point in our life from the Three of Wands down to the Two of Wands, there's some ways of living our life that at one time we thought that was living the dream, and that's what we put our work and effort into, and that's what we loved, and that's what we were sure was going to make us happy. And we kind of saw through the illusion of what things are worth kind of putting more work and effort into and pursuing. It's kind of like the Eight of Pentacles and Virgo energy that we all tap into is kind of like, what are the good building blocks to take with me? I have these ways of functioning and working in the world, and I have these different people in the world that I could work with. What are the good building blocks to take with me, and what are the things I should maybe let go of? Ways within myself, ways of thinking, ways of feeling, ways of viewing life, my more egoic, worldly nature, all about myself nature, my immature, blah, blah, blah nature. Am I willing to see the truth about what I need to let go of? If I really want my dream to come into reality, there are some things, because life is about making choices, and Aries energy, also represented by the Emperor, is I've made all these decisions in my life, which at the time it could have been just and fair in a way for me to make those decisions, because that's how I viewed life at that time. That was my emotional maturity level at that time. But I don't stay the same throughout my life. I change throughout my life. As I learn lessons in life, I view life differently, and I move away from old ways of living life. And I work through my fears and insecurities about not investing in those ways of living life anymore, because I'm putting in work and effort to move forward in my life in high vibe energy. To grow and heal and mature myself and grow to my full potential, make better decisions in my life, wanting to hang around people who I think are making better decisions in their life. We've all been more immature, prideful, egotistical, more indulgent, more materialistically focused. If my dream is to be in deep, meaningful relationships that are inspired. High vibe Nine of Swords is Gemini energy, which is our dualistic nature. I want to be in relationships with people who, in their Gemini energy, are more invested in aligning with their more hopeful, believing, loving nature. That is their truth. I have been more aligned with my worldly nature. Other people in my life and other people currently in my life are more in their Gemini nature, still more caught up in the illusion of themselves, more caught up in the world, still have these illusions about what it means to be in a relationship. They could still be more about themselves, bossy, controlling, trying to control other people, and that's still how they view life. And that can be people who like to live more from their mind than their heart. And that's their truth. Or status or ego or image is more their truth. Or being more about themselves is more their truth. What is my truth? Who do I want to hang out with? Who do I want to work with? How have I been living my life? Who have I been hanging out with? Why am I in relationship with some people? Why are some of those people in relationship with me? Some more shadowy people, they do have these illusions about what it means to be in a relationship. Both the Knight of Cups and the Seven of Cups can mean that. I have this illusion about what it means to be in a relationship. I do kind of think, it is more about me. It's kind of more about me, and I should be indulged in a relationship, and I am the star of the show, and I think I'm really awesome, and other people should want to be in a relationship either because I look victorious or successful, or I'm attractive or charming, or I have money, or I just have a self-inflated ego. And that's how some people are going to keep moving forward in life, because that is their truth, and that's what they emotionally invest in, and that's how they view life. And they're probably going to keep living their life like that. And for some people who aren't enlightened to the truth that it should be about love And love means you should treat other people the way you like to be treated, and you should be just and fair and acting with character and integrity and being authentic. Some people are like, no, 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 no. Everybody's living more from their mind than their heart. Everybody's out creating an illusion, trying to get people to view them a certain way and get in relationship more because of what they want. It's not love. Love's an illusion. I don't believe in love. Everybody's out here trying to manipulate other people to get what they want. And they're probably going to go out and try to manipulate someone else. I think, though, because they've been in relationships with people who do have hope and faith and belief in love, but they could think those people, they are so living in a fantasy world. They do not get how this world works. Well, if you live your life like that, and that, firmly is how you think and believe, you would think that people have hope and faith and belief in love live in fantasy land. Those people are idiots. They're not, things aren't going to work out for them. They're insane if they think they're going to find someone who is willing to temper their ego or their materialistic nature or being more about themselves to authentically work cooperatively with them in love. People don't do that. That's fantasy. But then they like to be in relationships with people who think that way. Sometimes they like to be in relationships with people who believe that because those people put a lot of work and effort to be loving and nurturing and supportive and encouraging because those people are caught up in that illusion of that dream of love. Oh yeah, I want to get me one of those. I'm going to manipulate that person for as long as I can. As long as it works for me and it's good for my ego and my image. That's not my truth. I have free will and I just am two-faced. I present myself as someone who is motivated and inspired by love, so they will get in a relationship and put that work and effort into working together with me. But really, that's not my truth. I'm just juggling the truth. But until they listen to their intuition about me, and at some future point in time, they're probably going to be stressed out about staying in a relationship with this shadowy person because they're starting to think their dream is never going to come into reality because they're the only one putting in work and effort to bring a dream into reality from love, because the other person is just putting in work and effort to create the illusion of love, but it never is authentically love. You'd have to emotionally invest yourself in another person to authentically do love. And you'd have to operate from a foundation, being inspired by love, to freely give of yourself from a place authentically from love. And that's when some people that they're in relationship eventually are like, wait a minute. I'm starting to think the dream is never going to come into reality. This is, we've been in a relationship, but it kind of feels like shadowy Scorpio. That it's kind of more superficial and shallow. It's about death, sex, and taxes. It's about ego and image and having sex, working together to have a certain status and image and look victorious and successful. I'm just beginning to wonder, is it even love? Why are you in this relationship? And that's kind of when the high vibe people kind of stand up for themselves and say, wait a minute. I don't know if I want to keep moving forward with you and trying to maintain balance in this relationship. In high vibe, the Two of Pentacles would be that we realize we are both our own individuals, that we have our own unique talent, skills, and interests, that we have our own dreams, and that together we should work cooperatively, respecting that if we are going to work together with another person, it can't be more about me, and if we gave the impression that it was supposed to be based on truth and love, it should be based on truth and love. That should be each of our truth. But again, sometimes we get more mismatched relationship where one person's truth, because there's a maximum of 10 in every suit, and this is the 9. What do some people stay focused on? Some people that they stay focused on is like truth and love. But what the other person is focused on is more ego, image, money, materialism, themselves. And then we kind of realized we're in a mismatched relationship with some people in our life. And then it's like, I don't know if I want to keep taking action, like in the Ace of Wands, to keep moving forward with you. Because I'm starting to figure out that I don't think it's not love. It's like the illusion of love, or it might be a more immature love, or you might be kind of egotistical or bossy or controlling or whatever, or you're just juggling the truth and creating an illusion. And then people can be really stressed out about making that decision to pick up their investment in some of the things that they've invested in: jobs, friendships, relationships. I would have to go from the Eight of Pentacles down to the Two of Pentacles, which is letting go of the Six of Pentacles, which the Six of Pentacles is Taurus energy, which can represent all these different things of the world: jobs, relationships, marriages, friendships. But the Six of Pentacles talks about how I was exchanging resources with certain people because I had a certain philosophy of life. And now I'm kind of wondering if we have the same philosophy of life. What is your truth? What's my truth? Why are we exchanging time, energy, and effort with each other? Where did you think this was going? Where did I think this was going? Are we really on the same page or are we not? Who is on the same page as me? Who is not? Some people could be really stressed out right now trying to figure out, work through again, we're emotionally complex human beings. We can love people. We'd like them to move forward with us and be in our life, but sometimes if some of those people are like, oh yeah, I want to come with you. Oh, but yeah, no, I have my ideas. I have my idea of how I want life to come into reality. That's what the Three of Wands can be like. I have this way of envisioning my dream coming into reality. It's like, and it could be to keep doing this. The Seven of Cups comes after the Six of Cups, and the Six of Cups can be where we are working together with people, but it can be that we're kind of repeating a pattern over and over and over. And if we were to offer a cup of love to the Six of Cups, then we'd have the Seven of Cups, which is that we're moving forward more tipped in favor in high vibe energy into a more deep, meaningful relationship. That we're not going to repeat some of these patterns of the past because we've learned lessons in life and because we love ourselves and because we love each other. We might have had a dream and we could have viewed life a certain way, but the whole and envisioned it was going to work out a certain way. But we don't all stay the same. We change over time. The way we used to think and feel about certain things in the world, we don't think and feel about that way about things after time goes by. And hopefully as we keep living life, hopefully we keep loving and believing in ourselves more and what we believe we're capable of. And hopefully we face our fears and we pick up our investment in old ways of viewing life to move forward in life. That I lived my life at a certain phase of life. That was great, but that kind of phase of life is over. Now it's time to face our fears, to believe in ourselves, to now move forward in life a little differently. I kind of shed an old layer of myself, or I have more hope and faith and belief in myself, or I've learned some lessons that I didn't even know back then. I've come into some insight and self-awareness and different ways of viewing myself and the world around me and what I believe is possible. I didn't even know that back then. And just as you live life, you kind of learn different lessons and view life differently. And Pisces energy, it kind of expands our perception of how we view ourselves and how we view the world and what we believe is possible. And it's like, gee, the very first job I could have gotten, I could have thought I was going to stay at that job forever. Well, you learn skills at that job, and then if there isn't opportunity to kind of grow to your full potential at that job, you might decide, even though it's stressful, I'm going to go apply at a different job because I do think I am capable of more than what I was doing. So then I go apply and I go take another job, and that's scary, but we face our fears and we believe we have the resources to manifest those. We can function at like that new level of life, and that's how people build themselves up in their career. It's how people build themselves up in their maturity level, how people build themselves up in how they view themselves and how they view others, and just grow and mature themselves, right? But sometimes we get in relationships with people who I always dreamed of doing this. I don't want to step out of my comfort zone because that's scary. And there might be certain ways of being or viewing life or people in their life that maybe high vibe energy talks about becoming more independent. Mainly becoming more independent within yourself, knowing your worth and value, feeling more stable and grounded within yourself so you're not in more codependent energy and looking to the world to validate your worth and value, kind of knowing your own worth and value and having put work and effort to believe in yourself and get more clear about your truth, understanding everybody's got their idea, and that's fine. Everybody can live their life the way they want it. But I've got my truth, and I want to live my truth. And what I think is just and fair might be different than what people in my family that I could have grown up with think is just and fair. That could be out of their comfort zone. Like, oh my goodness, you're so much more bold and brave and confident than I am. That would stress me out to not live my life like this and to step outside my comfort zone. Well, that's okay. You don't have to because it's not your life. If you're happy doing this, you do your life like that. You know, some people, it really stresses them out when other people are going to step out of a comfort zone they're in. Well, but I don't like you living your life like that. Why don't you like me living my life like that? It's like, well, because I don't live my life like that. And if you were to go live your life like that, then I might kind of get confused about how I'm living my life. And it might start making me question why I do what I do and why I hang out with who I hang out with and why they hang out with me. And you seem to be doing things differently, and Taurus energy of the Six of Pentacles that I talked about can be that we can know people. Taurus energy can represent all the different rules and regulations in our head about you should do this and you shouldn't do that. And sometimes it's a bunch of rules and regulations. You have to act like this and you have to dress like this and you don't hang out with those people and you hang out with these people and you don't go to that type of establishment or do those type of things and you hang out with these people and do these type of things. And if those people go to those things, you can go to those things. But if those people aren't there, you don't go. It's just all this rigmarole, right? I think high vibe energy is more like, you know what? I'm just going to live my life. I'm going to treat people with truth and love and inspire other people to with truth and love and treat them the way I want to be treated and the way I like to be treated. And if those, it's not, oh my goodness, if you go to this type of eating place versus this type of eating place, that says something about your worth and value. It's like, really? I think I've seen people have a certain amount of status or image eat at this establishment. Oh, well, yeah, they can. Or they maybe had other, if other people are with. Can you see all the bullshit? You know? It's just like all these unwritten rules of bullshit in a way. It's like, you know what? I'm just going to go live my authentic life. I'm not meaning to harm anyone. I'm not wanting to be a rebel. I'm not wanting to say anybody else is right or wrong. You do you. And I'm going to just live my authentic life, treat other people, be just and fair, be a helpful, encouraging, supportive person. I'm just going to live my life. And if what I do, I'm sorry, bothers some other people because that I dress a certain way, I look a certain way, I say certain things, I go to certain things, I'm not, a high vibe person is someone who isn't driving their life off into the ditch. They're making good decisions in their life. They just don't let other people dictate to them because you could ask all sorts of different people in the world. Oh, well, no, you can't wear a v-neck. Oh, no, you can't. Look at all the rules in the world. You can't show your ankles. You can't show your wrists. You can't show your hair. You should have short hair. You should have long hair. You should never cut your hair. You can't dance. You should dance. You can't sing. You should sing. You can't voice your opinion. You should voice. Where do we get clear about what my truth is? And from an energy of love, wishing everyone peace, you live your truth, you live your life. Everybody will bear out the consequences of their decisions. I've got lessons to learn. You've got lessons to learn. I don't think you know all things. I don't think I know all things. I am willing to kind of be a student of life, to learn lessons. High vibe Scorpio, I want to explore the mysteries of life. I'm an emotionally complex person. So is everyone else. I want more deep, meaningful relationships. I don't want to make my life more about conforming to the world. And just because something looks good, I should be happy. Looks like my dreams have come into reality. But is it an illusion? Is it really aligned with my truth? Or do I do it, stay in certain jobs and careers and friendships because of fear and insecurity, status, ego, image? It looks good. What about being in relationships with people who really seem to be more on the same page as me, instead of kind of having to give up my own unique dreams and truth to have to give those things up in order to conform to certain people who I might love or grown up with, but their truth is different than my truth. We should let everyone live their authentic truth. You don't have to live life like me. I don't got to live life like you. But we can all be caught up in it, and we all can have a hard time being willing to get out of our ego, out of our fear, out of our insecurities, to believe in ourselves, to stand up for ourselves. Some people right now could be hiding that with some of the people in their life that maybe they didn't know when they got in the relationship that they kind of harness these energies differently. And as time has gone by, and they could have harnessed them the same initially, but then as time goes by, someone could have worked through some of their emotional confusion, some of their fears or insecurities, and now they're not the same person they were when they got in the relationship. The other person maybe didn't do that or did some of it, but then it kind of gets to be, are we willing to move forward in this together? But we both agree that we're not going to repeat some of these old patterns and ways of being because we've already been there and done that. And we could have already seen that some of those things were bad building blocks that we shouldn't take with us. What are these cards that aren't showing themselves? The Hermit, the Strength card, and the Six of Pentacles. Well, the Hermit and the Strength card, those are like major arcana cards about going within, dealing with the truth of how our own ego manipulates us and how our own philosophy of life manipulates us, and The Six of Pentacles, again, it's all these different institutions of the world, how people we could have grown up with, how their view of life kind of influenced us, and then we can tend to adopt other people's kind of philosophies of life. You should do this, you shouldn't do that, you should live your life like this, not like that, good or bad. And it influences us, and sometimes we don't really realize how much those things impact how we move forward in life and why we invest in certain things. If people told us, you know, boy, you should, maybe you're attractive and whatever, boy, if I were you, I would never get married. You should focus on your career, or that's the most important thing. Don't let love interfere with your career. Or because you're attractive or you have status or you have image, I wouldn't settle down and bring a dream into reality. You should always keep your options open. Well, that could have been something that was said, and at the time, they weren't really sure if they believed that or not. But it always kind of could have been something that was kind of buried in their subconscious. People could have instilled fear and insecurity in people because they had their own fears and insecurities, or they had their own shadowy life experiences. And then people, again, and we have these different people in our life, different people that we've exchanged time, energy, and effort with. Some of those people, they did appeal maybe more to our ego nature or fearful nature or immature, indulgent, self-centered nature. Other people kind of appealed to our more hopeful, believing, loving nature. And, we go through life meeting all these people trying to figure out which one is more my truth. And there is some people who are just still juggling. And in our free will of the Nine of Swords, of Gemini energy, other people could have picked a path, and other people are still juggling. Other people are like, I've went through life experiences, I kind of did this inner work. I also had the free will to stay in my ego, be self-consumed, be about me, not trust love, but I didn't choose to do that. And I chose to temper my egoic nature and being more about myself. And I do have hope and faith and belief in love. And I put in work and effort to detach from operating from that philosophy of life, or my just more and more worldly view of life. I do think I have more to work with in the world. I think there is more to this world than just what the world tells us we have to work with. I think we were given our intellect and our creative spirit and our emotionally complex nature for a reason. It wasn't just part of the software we were given when we were dumped here on the planet. I think we're supposed to use it to give birth to new things. There is a time and a place for everything, and there was a time and a place for everybody to have lived their life certain ways. Would we all want to be cavemen today? Would we all want to still be just like everything was maybe in the 1960s? No, we're supposed to learn lessons in life. We're supposed to temper our ego. Did we think the way we were living our life at a certain point in time was the right way? Yeah, or we probably wouldn't have done it. But we have lessons to learn. And things change, and the world doesn't stay the same. Nothing stays static. And high vibe energy is about going with the flow. And because things change, I also have to temper my ego that just because I had an idea that I could have wanted everything this way or for the world to stay the same, it didn't. And so now I have to put in work and effort to also work through my fears of detaching kind of from some of those old ways of viewing life, or ways people, it's just like when people brought computers into the workplace. There could have been some people who quit their job. I'm not going to work there. They're getting a computer. Well, nowadays everybody has computers, and probably everybody learned it. Some of those people could have went back in the workforce after they got over their fear of working with a computer, right? But some people will get out of jobs, they'll get out of friendships, they'll get out of relationships because other people are changing. And there are some people that are very resistant to change. I want to keep doing things the way I always expected to do it, and you should do it the way I want it. And if you don't, I'll find someone else who maybe is fearful of also doing life differently or maybe believing in themselves, and they'll look to me maybe for stability or security or to have a certain status or image in the world or for me to love them, you know? Some people right now, some of the, some of the people, you, other people in the world, some people can look very successful in life in a lot of ways. They could be attractive or charming or whatever, have a good job, whatever. And they're putting in work and effort to move forward in their life. And they seem to have hope and faith and belief in themselves and in their dreams and working through some of their fears and insecurities. And other people can see that there are things that they had put work and effort into that didn't work out the way they wanted, and that now they could be working to have a new beginning and moving forward. Again, detaching from some things in their life and people or jobs, and now they're moving forward, working to maintain balance within themselves as they move forward in these new ways of viewing life or living life. Some people don't know how those people are doing it and what they don't understand, because some people always just try to create an illusion and they think, again, that's what other people do. How does that person act like that and present like that and seem to be in this type of energy? Like, how can I mimic that? And what they don't realize is the more shadowy people are hiding, that they're still operating more from their egoic nature, and they try to build this construct by what they do and how they act and how they present themselves in the world for people to view them a certain way. Like, and of course, high vibe Taurus would be, well, not high vibe Taurus, but Taurus energy is people can want to come across like, I'm this very stable, grounded, mature, have a certain status and image in the world. You should want to be in relationship with me. And there are some high vibe people in the world that people view that way. And some other people want to be viewed that way. And they could be stressed out because they were trying to go about looking like that, not really putting in the work and effort. It was more putting in work and effort to create an illusion that that was the type of person they were. And then people who employ them, become friends with them, date them, marry them, kind of start to realize you tried to create this illusion about who you were. Like, I look at life from a higher perspective. I'm not more caught up in the world. You know, I put work and effort into relationships to move them forward. I have the same dream you have. But it's kind of hard to bring something into reality when you don't listen kind of to your more creative, inspired, intuitive, loving nature. That's how you create something new. And they kind of have fear of doing that. So, in their Scorpio nature, they could like to keep their more emotionally intuitive nature buried beneath the surface because we're emotionally complex human beings and they find it too confusing and they don't want to deal with it. They're more inspired to live more from their mind than their heart. I can create the illusion that I'm this type of person. I don't really have to be that type of person, but it causes a problem in a relationship. It's just like somebody getting a job. Oh, yeah, I've put in work and effort and, I'm willing to work together with you cooperatively, but they really don't put in the work and effort to a degree. It's kind of the illusion of putting in work and effort. And they might put work in some things, but it's kind of like the people they're working with are like, the dream never seems to come into reality. I'm confused. I don't understand why. You seem to have the education and the resources or the intellect, but, for one, you have to be motivated and inspired. And some people, our shadow nature can be our lazy nature, where, well, I kind of thought it was going to be a little bit more about me, and this is what I do. I kind of create the illusion, and I might have some abilities, but I might use them in a more manipulative manner, but I didn't think I'd really have to put in work and effort. I thought I could just create the illusion. I'm used to people maybe indulging me in relationships or in workplaces. And I just thought it would all work out. And then they have a problem because people don't want to work with them anymore. And the shadowy people were hiding that they could be a little full of themselves, shadowy Virgo, shadowy Leo. Well, I really don't have to put in work and effort to be more inspired and authentic and loving and nurturing and inspired, do I? Can I just create the illusion I'm that? Won't you just exchange resources with me anyway? You're either motivated and inspired to work somewhere and put in work and effort. It kind of is what drives and motivates you that I like my job. I like to work with other people. I like to challenge myself. I like to challenge myself to feel proud of myself. That's like high vibe Taurus, that I feel proud of myself that I acted with character and integrity. And some people are like, no, that isn't really what drives and motivates me. I want all those things like other people have who do really put in work and effort and are inspired, but that really isn't what drives and motivates me, because I'm just a little bit more about myself. And I'm willing to work here or be in a relationship with you so long as it's good for my ego and my image, or you pay me. But I'm not, you know, can't we just keep moving on and like this? But just like a workplace wants people who authentically are motivated and inspired to want to do that job. They take pride and satisfaction at feeling like they are good at their job, and then they kind of want to maybe learn new things and take on more responsibility. And some people are like, actually, I was kind of hoping I could take on less responsibility. Couldn't I just supervise people and let those people kind of do the work? you know and that's what some people think, and some people who get in relationships with people think that. But some people right now are doing this work within themselves. Why do I do what I do? Why am I living my life the way I live it? Why am I exchanging resources with certain people? Why are those people in it? What is my truth? Am I more about myself than I wanted to admit? Am I being manipulated? Am I trying to manipulate someone else? Is someone indulging me in my ego and they really don't love me? Am I indulging someone else for things and I don't really love them? Who are the people I really do want to be in a relationship with? Who do I think is more tempered in their ego? Who does more equal give and take? Some people could feel like they're putting a lot of work and effort to bring a dream into reality again. And it looks good, and other people could think, oh my goodness, you have such a wonderful life. And they're like, I'm the one who I put in this work and effort to make it this. The other person could have provided, I don't know, you could just feel like the other people eventually, it takes time to realize that you're kind of the one putting in the work and effort and that other people really aren't. And that other people might be more about the ego and the image, and if it looks good for them, they'll stay in it, but it really isn't love. Some people have already gotten out of those relationships because they did see the truth that some people were more about themselves. It was more about the ego and the image. That's why the relationship never progressed to become a more deep, meaningful relationship, because that isn't what motivates and inspires them. They could have wanted to stay in the relationship and keep exchanging time, energy, effort, and resources of whatever sort in the relationship, because someone's resource can be love and encouragement, and another person's can be money. And they were willing to keep moving forward because it was good for their ego and their image, but it's not really love. And some people already cut out the people in their life who they realized were hiding, that they're more driven and motivated by ego or themselves. And some of those people did pick up their investment in that old dream, and they put in work and effort to detach, to no longer exchange time, energy, and effort with those people, to work through their own fears and insecurities about loving and believing in themselves enough to keep believing in their dreams. They were willing to give up some of those worldly things just to feel like they were more balanced within themselves, in a more balanced place. Because if you're in a relationship with someone where you feel like it is more of an illusion, or people are kind of behind the scenes being manipulative or stubborn or bossy or controlling, or they have a lot of fears and insecurities that impact how they act in the relationship, it's all really stressful. And it's like, I've worked through my own fear and insecurities to, I don't want to live my life like this anymore. And what some people don't know about why you could have left a situation, because it's not everybody's business, right? Is that because you did do this inner work, you worked through some of your own fears and insecurities, your past pain and heartbreak. You could have wanted to move forward with the people you were in a relationship with, but those people would have needed to do that same work within themselves, and they could have decided, you can go, I'll go find someone else that hasn't done that work within themselves, and I'll start over with someone who hasn't done that work, just like I haven't done that work. And you could have been in that energy, hadn't done that work within yourself. Because at any given point in time, when we can get in relationships with people, there can be things that we haven't dealt with that kind of keep us maybe in shadowy Leo energy, a little bit more in our fear and our insecurity or codependent energy. And some people realize, oh shit, you changed. No, I liked it when you were in that energy. And you're like, yeah, but I'm not in that energy anymore. Do you want to move forward with me? And they're like, no. I'm going to go find someone else who's in that energy that I'm still in. And I'm going to work with those people. And if the people they go work with are keep staying in that energy of viewing life a certain way, viewing themselves a certain way, viewing relationships a certain way, well, that is a just and fair and balanced relationship because they're on the same page. It's just that during the course of some type of relationship dynamic, we kind of do get on different pages, and then the relationship isn't what it was. And then, are we willing to navigate that and work through that? And are we both still have hope and faith and belief in it? Are we both willing to look at life differently, and that apparently things aren't going to come into reality the way we could have all thought at one point in time? And that someone has freed themselves from some things that manipulate them. They don't have that same way of viewing life or philosophy of life. Are you willing to work through that with them and keep moving forward with them or not? And we have people in our life that we love and that we want to keep working together with. And as it's just like when we have children, right? We don't expect them to be a child all their life, and we don't want them to be like a child all their life. And as they become more independent and go live their own life, the relationship dynamic changes. And it's like, that's okay. That is like the next phase of life. We had that type of relationship dynamic when you were a child. This is now a new relationship dynamic that we haven't been in before. But yeah, I want you to live your authentic life. I want to be a part of it. It will be different for both of us, but we'll both work on it. And it can be kind of the same way in our relationships with other people. And sometimes some people are like, but I don't want the relationship dynamic to change. And sometimes we can have children that are like that too. They're adults, but they still want us to work together with them like they're this codependent child and indulge them maybe and work with them the way we used to work with them when they were a child. It's like, you're an adult now. And I do have my own dreams and aspirations, and I don't want to replay that old pattern. You are not 12 years old, you are 24. Go live your life. Go be more independent. And they're like, but I don't want to do that. I have fears of picking up my investment and people kind of indulging me like I'm a child. And it's like, yes, and you need to go do that because I'm not going to indulge you in that way of being. And then those people could be confused because they always dream that you would kind of play that role in your life. It's like, I can be a loving and encouraging, supportive person in your life, but you need to go create your own life. And you need to learn how to do this within yourself also. Learn how to love yourself. Learn how to work through some of your fears and insecurities. Get out of being in more codependent energy. And some people are old and they're still kind of codependent, maybe on their friend group or their original family, because they've never taken over this role within themselves. And they keep staying in codependent energy, looking for other people to play that role in their life. It's like, how about you do some inner work to grow up and mature yourself and learn to love yourself, work through your illusions and your fears and being more about you, and maybe you could have more balanced relationships in your life. But you have to quit operating from that old philosophy of life. That is, some people don't want to see that, it's like they want a way from the past to keep being like that. Like, because they might stay static, because they never close out a cycle. They keep repeating the same patterns over and over. So then they can't understand why other people just aren't willing to keep repeating that old pattern over and over with them. It's like, because I work through the issues that manipulate me to keep me stuck in stagnant, non life giving energy. And in my fire sign energy, I'm inspired to work through those things so I don't, it keeps me from growing to my full potential. And I don't like my ego or my fear or the world or my worldly nature or my immature nature. And I don't like other people trying to control me. And some of these people, they have a lot of things that manipulate and control them. And they might not want to see the truth of it within themselves or in other people. So they're probably going to keep repeating that old pattern, hiding either that they have a lot of fears and insecurities about love and trusting other people, but they get in relationships and create the illusion that's not the case, or that they have a more transactional view of relationships. That's shadowy Taurus energy. Well, I have this and you have that. Let's exchange resources. That makes logical, practical sense. But it's not, on their part, it's not really from love. And other people are like, no. And some people tried to get in relationships with loving people, and those people worked through and decided, I'm doing truth and love and justice and fairness and authenticity. Are you coming or not? And they said no. And then they went and got in a relationship with someone who they could have thought was more about the world and ego and image and status. And they moved forward with those people, and those people wanted to maybe stay in the relationship. But then they could have gotten up in their head about that. And it's like, well, this one isn't really about love, and they just can't decide and they kind of want to go back and forth. Like, I like making my life about these things and hanging out with these people for that reason, but then I don't like hanging out with them because of these reasons, and then I want to go hang out with the more loving, encouraging, you know, pick a path. And some people keep juggling. It's like, well, what they'd really like is for them to be able to be shadowy and have loving people in their life who let them be shadowy. But the loving people aren't having it. Grow up. Well, so then it's like, well, then I'll go make my life about this. And then they get in a relationship with those people. And then they don't really like it because those people are more like themselves. And they're more about the ego and the image, or bossy or controlling or egotistical and manipulative. And they don't really like that. Well, and some of these people just can't figure it out. Why aren't these people just doing it the way I want them to do it? It's like, because other people aren't juggling. They picked a path, and you won't pick a path. Oh my goodness. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Aries energy that they might not see coming? The Death card. Why? Because of the Ten of Cups. So, you chose to align with and emotionally detach from your more shadowy worldly nature. And when you did that, you also emotionally detached from people in your life who were more aligned with being in a relationship with you so long as you were in your shadowy nature. And that could be friends and family members, people you wanted to be in a long-term relationship with, people you were in a long-term relationship with, people you wanted to have a family with, people you did have a family with. Because you're not the same person that you were before. And there are people in the world that they are people we can be in a relationship with if we're in a more shadowy, materialistic, worldly, egoic, fearful, whatever way of living life. And you decided, but I didn't find that fulfilling, and I don't want to live my life that way. So you detach from those people. And some people are just doing that now, where this isn't my truth. Can I love these people? Can they be part of my family? I could have, just like you can have brothers or sisters or moms or dads or whatever. Can I have love for them? Yeah. Would I want to hang out with them and live life more involved with them? No. Just like they probably don't with me. You know, I'm going to let them live their life the way they want it. And I'm going to go live my life because our truth is different. What we find emotionally fulfilling, what kind of drives and motivates us is different. And I have seen the truth that with some of these people, even if they had been more like a long-term friend or people I had been in relationship with or was dating, our truth is different. And why they want to put in work and effort and emotionally invest in things that they do is different than why I want to do those things. And they might be happy with a more superficial, shallow relationship. They might be happy living more from their mind than their heart. And I'm not. So I wish them peace. Hope you find someone who's on the same page as you. But then the Scorpio Death card, because the Scorpio Death card is an emotional water sign energy, and it's working through all that emotional confusion. We can initially quit working with people, but then emotionally it can take time to work through all of that, where we really are emotionally done with it, and then we are ready to have a new beginning. And we could have had to work through our fears and insecurities about taking the lessons that we've learned to trust and believe in ourselves and our intuition and get out of our head. Not everybody's manipulative, not everybody's bossy, not everybody's wearing a false mask. And I think because I've learned these lessons, I'm ready to go out there again. And I think, again, the more practice you have at picking yourself up once you've been fell down and hurt yourself or somebody pushed you, the easier it is for you to get over it and pick yourself back up again. Because you get out of more and more codependent energy of, I can love someone, but I'm not going to let you cause me to drive my life off into the ditch. Could I have driven my life off into the ditch in other previous relationships when they didn't work out? Yeah. And I've learned to work through my own fears and insecurities and self-limiting beliefs and go enjoy my life and books and movies and friends and family and staying focused on truth and love, keeping things in perspective. I'm probably going to live 80 years. Do I have to get back in another relationship next week, next month, next year, in the next 5 years? No. If there's no one in my vicinity that I meet, there can be people who would like to be in a relationship with me, but yeah, no, I don't. I think they harness this energy in a shadowy way. I've already been there and done that. And I don't want to do that. And so, unless it's someone who seems to harness these energies in a high vibe way, I'm just going to keep enjoying my life. And so, you emotionally have completed a cycle. The death card can talk about completing a cycle. The tens can talk about completing a cycle. You are ready to have that new beginning. You have done this work to get balance within yourself, and now you have your options open, and you're going to listen to your intuition about the different people you meet, about like what their truth is versus what your truth is. And I think as you move forward in that way, some people are going to be stressed out because, like, shit, if I was the one who tried to manipulate them and didn't think they'd love and believe in themselves and they'd come back and do the relationship the way I wanted them to do it, shit, that didn't work. They've moved on. They don't want anything to do with me. Damn, I shouldn't have juggled that person. And other people could think, I could have watched you go through some of those things, or I could have recently met you. Maybe at work if you got a new job or something, or just people you meet out in the world. That those people could be like, you detached from something that I'm sure could have been very difficult to do. I could be in similar situations of having to detach from some things that are difficult to do. And some of those people would think, I think you and me might be on the same page. We've both changed. We're both not willing to stay in relationships just more because of the illusion. I can't do just the superficial and shallow. I want to be in more authentic, deep, meaningful relationships. And those people will pick up their investments and do this work within themselves to come work with you because they think you're someone they can have a deep, meaningful relationship. But it takes time. God is kind of working behind the scenes on people for them to work through these things within themselves. Keep moving forward and don't give up your dreams. What's coming up for the more worldly, shadowy people? The night that they don't see coming, the Two of Cups and the Chariot. Why? Because of the Chariot. So, 3 Cancer energies. The Two of Cups and the Chariot is Cancer energy. More worldly, shadowy people are always going to have more loving people in their life who would like to move forward with them in a relationship. But the shadowy people harness their Cancer energy in a more shadowy way. Well, I kind of use my emotions manipulatively, and my sexuality manipulatively, and my words, and my looks, and my charm, and my money. I use all those things kind of manipulatively. That was my plan. And that's how they want to live their life. And eventually some of the high vibe people in their life are going to move on. And then what they don't see coming is that the people who are willing to keep moving forward with them in a relationship are kind of like them. They also harness their energy in a shadowy way. And it's more about, we should get in a relationship. That would make me look like I moved on, that I'm more emotionally balanced than I am, that I'm more loving. And I would look like I'm moving forward victoriously and successfully. Let's create that illusion together. But it's just not really love. This makes logical, practical sense. Kind of looks like what those other people have because it looks like love, it quacks like love. When they're out in the world, they act like they love each other. But it's maybe not really love that even drives and motivates them. That's not the truth. It's more, well, this person is willing to stay in a relationship with me. This person might look victorious and successful in some way. This person might have more money. This person might indulge me in my ego, or I'm willing to indulge them. Or we're both people who are more emotionally shallow and superficial, and that makes us happy because that's our comfort zone. Well, that would be a just and fair relationship. If they can find someone who wants to live life the way they want to live it. I just think both of them will be kind of stressed out because they both know they're kind of creating an illusion of maybe being a more emotionally balanced, loving person than they are because they're actually kind of tipped more out of balance. And these other factors can be more what drives them, and always fearful that the other person will love and believe in themselves to not settle for the illusion. And so they'll try to control the people, that shadowy Aries energy in the relationship. And the other people get to move and go with the flow in relationships with people who treat them with love and respect and are authentic and warm and loving and encouraging. And they get to be with people who create the illusion of love. So, and they repeat an old pattern, hiding that there may be in their ego because there might be other people they wish were in a relationship with them, but those people weren't willing to indulge them in their more shadowy nature, so they're having to move forward with someone who also maybe juggles them, keeping their options open. Well, we're both the same. We're both about ego and image. If someone comes along who's got more ego, more image, more social clout, more fearful, more willing to indulge me, see ya. Because it's not really based on love anyway. So there you go, Aries. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.